Howdy y'all, this is Dwight and welcome back to my channel. Well, I'm just going to pick right up where I left off in the previous video. I'm needing to get started on getting a very rough fit up between my blade and back spring. That way it will make it easier on me to do my secondary back spring as well as my secondary blade. Because I want to get it to where basically all I have to do is scribe around this back spring onto my secondary back spring and know that I will be reasonably close whenever I shape it. And the same with the tang square for my secondary blade. Of course, that will be a little bit more in depth because I've got to shape that blade as well. And since when it comes to blades and back springs, I'm not using a pattern, it's a little bit more in depth for me to actually make, because as I mentioned in a comment to Cousin Bob, I'm going off of hopes and dreams on this one. So one thing I did mention in the very first video is having the tang square in proportionate size compared to your handle width size. If you're going to have a large handle, you don't want your tang square to be very small to where there's gobs of handle sticking up on either side and you have a super thick walk. For example, like this back spring right here. Now granted, this isn't fully shaped, but if this was fully shaped, that is a very thick walk to have. Now being that isn't fully shaped, that will get thinned down, but that's just an example. That is a lot of walk to have inside of a handle, because your handle size is going to be quite large to be able to hide all that. Anyhow, so this is not too far off. Of course, all this needs to get worked down slightly, which will allow the back spring to move up. If we look at our scribe line, this will show from our scribe line up to here how much material to be inside the handle. Now this at this point would be a little bit thick, and as we can see, I did a little bit of a scribe line, so I've left the walk oversized. So I'm going to go ahead and remove some of that walk because I don't need that much thickness for this handle size. And yes, I'm just going by eye when it comes to this, of what looks right to me. So let me shape that walk a little better for our next step. Well, I have the walk shaped down, and that there's a nice proportion for a back spring in my opinion on this size of handle. If we bring it up in the half stop position, first off, I'm pleased with the angle of the blade in the half stop, being I just ground that in at a guess. And we can also see our line, how far down out of the liner we are in the half stop. So that needs taken off to bring that line closer to the liner. And in the closed position, we can see that line is a lot closer to the bottom of the liner. And of course the tip is up out of the liner. So that means to lower the tip, we'll need to take some off of the stop there at the bottom, and then take some off of the back of the tang square there. And to get the open position started, first thing I'm going to do is trim the length of the end of the back spring off to where it is even with the back walk here. And that will be a good start on that, because I'm sure a little bit will end up coming off that back walk at least at a later time. So as we can see, I scribed my line to go by, and I'm going to take some material off the bottom and off the end and off the end there. Alright, I showed the initial grinding on this. I actually had to go back and forth several times, and I didn't want to have to show all that, but I want to show enough to get you the idea. As we can see, our scribe line is just proud of the liner, which is fine for what I'm after right now. And in the closed position, I actually got it, there we go. The liner is right on it, so I actually got that quite close, which again is fine. But what I need to do next is to get the back square in a reasonable shape, because I did shorten the back spring to where it is really close to flush with the bottom of the back square. But now I need to shape the back square, that way I can get it in the open position. And I probably won't get it 100% settled exactly where it needs to be, because I'm just going to be, as I said, I'm just going after a rough idea of what I need right now. So I'm just going to do the back square next. Okay, I got the open position close enough for now, and of course using the scribe lines, I know my tang square is reasonably close in all three positions. Of course that's going to get dialed in after heat treat and things are surface ground, and of course I will be needing to make sure I grind everything good and square at that point in time, because I obviously was not making sure it was square, being I was freehanding it. But at this stage, this is just fine, because this gives me something good to go by. And using the scribe line, I covered it in the open position, even though it's not quite where it needs to be. So that's fine. Everything needs to be worked over again. The half stop is slightly proud, which if you're wanting to set up your knife using this method, that's actually good, because a good practice is the half stop and the closed position, you want proud of the open position, even using a Rupel gauge. Now see here in the closed position, I got it covering the line. So I would technically have the closed position a little bit too much. But again, at this stage, I'm not worried about it, because I have to go through and make sure everything is square later on in the build. Okay, enough of that. Need to get on to figure out where my center hole is going to be. So, of course, I have a scribe line here, showing I know where the spine of my liner is going to be. And I am going to find the center pinhole and just set this down right here. Center pinhole is going to be right in this area right here. And no, I'm not being extremely precise. Got my ball in it once again. Okay, in 3/32 would be about right there. So I will drill me a hole right in that cross. Alright, as we can see, I got the hole drilled in my back spring, and if you notice, I actually drilled the hole closer to my spine scribe line than originally planned. And that's because I remembered at the last second that when I'm setting my pretension, this hole is going to get pulled up inside the handle. So where it's placed now, the spine of the knife is actually going to be closer to my excess. So I got extra material to deal with down here than at first glance. So if we go to bring our spring down to meet our blade tang, we can see that that hole is covered by the liner a good bit before the back spring touches the blade. So that is telling me that this hole is going to be up onto the liner material very well, and will be plenty strong to hold the pretension I'm going to put on it. So at this point, I'm ready to start copying some parts. I'm going to be able to take my secondary back spring and use this to shape my secondary back spring. I'm going to be able to use this piece of liner and shape my other liner pieces. And it will be time to start trying to shape my secondary blade, which is going to be a spay blade. But that's what we can look forward to in the next video. I'm going to be starting on all that. I do appreciate y'all stopping by and watching this video series. Till the next video, y'all take care.